Hello, my name is Mark Vaessen. I'm the chair of KPMG's global topic team on corporate and sustainability reporting. And in today's session, I want to brief you on the highlights of the ISSB October board meeting. The October board meeting was really there for the ISSB to flag their direction of travel on the proposals that they have out there, S1 on general disclosure requirements for sustainability reporting and S2 on climate-related disclosures. So what were the topics that were discussed and what does it mean for you? The first topic that I want to raise with you is interoperability, and the purpose of the meeting this time for the ISB was really to give a clear indication, in particular to Europe, as to where they're going to land on the major decisions in their current standards S1 and S2. And that's important because EFRAG, as you know, is also working on the European standards, and they have to deliver their package of standards already by mid-November. So time is of the essence here. What they are discussing is how they can actually make these standards interoperable. And what they're looking at is saying that maybe in certain areas Europe may want to go further than the ISP standards, but there is a large section where the ISSB standards and the European standards are overlapping, and that's what they call the intersection. And the aim should be that in this intersection we keep the standards the same, so not similar but the same, and that's in terms of language, in terms of definitions, in terms of concepts. And so that's the aim, and they're looking at that. There's some good developments in Europe. For example, the EFRAG has already decided that they will also move to the TCFD framework, which means that the European and the international standards would be based on the same architecture. And similarly for climate, there's already a lot of common ground between the two. So keeping that intersection is as broad as possible is very important, and I would say stay tuned to this discussion. The direction of travel is positive, and this is what should make the global baseline work and come to life and make it easier for companies to apply both standards simultaneously. So the second topic of discussion is greenhouse gas emissions. And as you may recall, in the standard S2, there was already a requirement for companies to disclose Scope 3 emissions. And you also know that Scope 3 is the hardest of the disclosures to give for companies, because there are certain data gathering challenges. Because here we're not talking about the company's own emissions, we're talking about the emissions of suppliers, of customers, upstream, downstream, distribution networks. And the board had a discussion on whether they would keep the requirement, and they decided that yes, they want to keep the requirement for companies to give Scope 3 information, but they will come back in a future board meeting to see how they can maybe even require these disclosures to be phased in at a later stage, or give some further guidance on how companies can get to certain estimates. So watch this space, but the key message here is Scope 3 is still in. The third topic for discussion is on fundamental concepts, and the ISSB, in the feedback that they received, got a lot of questions on the definition of materiality, how to determine how to go on the value chain, and also on the meaning of enterprise value. They have now discussed and resolved that they will refer less to enterprise value, and for the materiality definitions will go back to the definition that they're also using for financial reporting. So that makes financial reporting and sustainability reporting the same in terms of materiality assessment, but the board also acknowledges that it will need some more guidance, especially for sustainability reporting. So they will come back to that and give more guidance to companies on this. The fourth topic of discussion is industry-specific standards, and as you may recall, in S2, the climate standard, the ISSB in its proposals had included the additional ISSB industry-specific metrics that were related to climate. And so the question now is, should we keep these as mandatory guidance, or should we actually make these industry-specific metrics application guidance that we would encourage companies to to use, but not mandate. And there were mixed views in the feedback that they had received about, which way to go. For the board, they discussed it in October, and the direction of travel in their discussion seems to be that they would be opting for application guidance. So not required, but very much encouraged to give the industry-specific metrics in addition to the general metrics that are required by the S2 cross-cutting industry standard. So this concludes the discussion on the 4 topics that I wanted to highlight. A lot of substantive discussion already being had, but also still a lot of redeliberation on these points still to come. So I would say keep watching this space. I look forward to welcoming you in a future video. And if you want more information, do go to our resource center where you will find more in-depth material on all the topics discovered today. Thank you and goodbye.